Welcome to this new video. Today, we will delve into a story full of challenges, political transformations, and personal sacrifices. It is the story of a man who began his life in the shadows, only to become one of the most prominent figures in modern Syrian history. This is the story of Ahmed Al-Sharaa, who went from being a fierce opponent of the Assad regime to becoming the President of Syria after years of struggle. How did this man manage to achieve such a dramatic shift? How did he reach this position after so many years of suffering? Let's discover all the details together in this video. Ahmed Al-Sharaa was born in Syria during a time of political turmoil under the rule of President Hafez al-Assad, where the regime held absolute power and dissent was brutally suppressed. Growing up in this environment, Al-Sharaa's perspective began to diverge from the status quo. From a young age, he witnessed the limitations imposed on the Syrian people, the lack of freedoms, and the rampant corruption that plagued the country. As time went on, Al-Sharaa became increasingly aware that Syria needed change, and he was determined to contribute to that change. While others accepted the regime's control, Al-Sharaa took a different route, becoming a vocal critic of Assad's policies. This marked the beginning of his political activism. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Al-Sharaa's opposition to the regime became more pronounced. His criticism focused on the lack of democracy, the oppression of free speech, and the authoritarian nature of the Assad government. He was a passionate advocate for political reform and human rights, calling for an end to the one-party system and the introduction of democratic freedoms. During this period, Al-Sharaa's activism led to him facing multiple arrests and being subjected to harsh treatment by the Syrian authorities. Despite the risks, he remained steadfast in his beliefs, becoming one of the most well-known figures in the Syrian opposition movement at the time. In 2011, Syria was shaken by the outbreak of the revolution. What started as peaceful protests demanding democratic reforms quickly escalated into a full-blown civil war. Al-Sharaa, now a key figure in the opposition, saw this as the moment he had been waiting for to push for real change. As protests spread across the country, Al-Sharaa became a symbol of the resistance, calling for the regime to step down and for a peaceful transition to democracy. However, his activism during this period came at a great cost. He faced intense pressure from the Assad regime, including threats to his life and constant harassment. Despite the growing danger, Al-Sharaa remained committed to his cause, even as the Syrian conflict grew more brutal. With the escalating violence and increasing danger, Al-Sharaa was eventually forced to leave Syria. This marked the beginning of a long period of exile. Although living abroad, Al-Sharaa continued to support the Syrian revolution from outside the country. He worked tirelessly to rally international support for the opposition, forging alliances and organizing efforts to unite the anti-Assad factions. Life in exile was not easy for Al-Sharaa. He faced constant challenges, from navigating complex political landscapes to maintaining his vision for a democratic Syria. But despite the difficulties, he remained dedicated to the cause, determined to one day return and help rebuild the country he had fought so hard to change. In 2024, Al-Sharaa's return to Syria shocked many. But his return was not simply a return of an exiled figure. It marked a significant shift in the political landscape. Through a series of negotiations and agreements with both local and international political forces, Al-Sharaa emerged as a key figure in Syria's future. His return was not just symbolic, but a signal that change might be possible after years of war and destruction. His transition from being an opponent to becoming the President of Syria was unprecedented. This dramatic shift raised many questions. How did he manage to reach this point after years of opposing the very regime he now had? What does his presidency mean for the future of Syria? As Syria's new president, Al-Sharaa faces immense challenges. The country is still reeling from years of war, with its economy in shambles and its infrastructure decimated. The Syrian people are in desperate need of change, but will Al-Sharaa be able to deliver? Will he be able to steer the country towards stability and prosperity? In addition to the internal challenges, there are also the external pressures. Syria remains a focal point in the geopolitical struggle, and Al-Sharaa's leadership will be under constant scrutiny from international powers. His ability to navigate these challenges will determine whether Syria can finally begin to heal from the wounds of conflict. This has been the story of Ahmed Al-Sharaa, from a staunch opponent of the Assad regime to becoming the President of Syria after years of struggle and sacrifice. His journey is one of resilience and determination, but the future of Syria remains uncertain. Will Al-Sharaa be able to lead the country toward a brighter future? Only time will tell. What do you think? Do you believe Syria's future can be shaped under Al-Sharaa's leadership, or will the road ahead remain fraught with challenges? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating political stories.